Welcome everybody to another episode of Grind My Gears. I'm Ashton Dari. Thank you for joining me today. I got Malcolm, the golden child, Castell with me today. But before we get started, there you go. That's what I was about to say. Head over to www.ashtonmdari.com. Grab your Nobody Cares Work Harder gear. We just got the muscle tanks in there. And if you want to look sexy on the beach, get that discount code Brown Privilege and get yourself 10% off. Also, this episode is brought to you by Rebecca Godfrey Artistry. If you want some top of the line artwork, click the link below, sign up for her newsletter, and you also get 10% off on her website as well. Malcolm, what's up, brother?
Just here, man. Just here, enjoying my Saturday. I was out a little late last night, so it was a little hard to get on my bed this morning, but I'm here.
Well, you got it. And for those who don't know, Malcolm is an extremely talented young athlete. He's Golden Gloves, right?
Not Golden Gloves,
Bronze
National
gloves.
K1, National Muay Thai, Provincial Muay Thai, and then Bronze Gloves, Silver Gloves.
Yeah, there you go. This speaks for himself, and he's on his way up to a high level if he puts his mind to it. Sometimes I gotta yell his ass to get in the gym, but super talented young athlete. But that's not even why we're here talking to you today. Why we're talking today is because not only is Malcolm a great athlete, but something I'm passionate about too, and that's investing. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today:
Oh,
investing
yeah.
in business. Because two young bucks. He's younger than me, but the most interesting thing about you is that you're so young, and I don't see this very often. Like I have young clients, like I work and I train with too, and they don't have the same mindset that you have,
hmm
which is why I wanted to pick your brain about investing today. So the first thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is what got you into like trading stocks, investing, because you do option trading as well at such a young
Um, Truthfully, I haven't actually traded an option yet. I'm just kind of looking at it and studying that side. I do plan on getting into trading options because that's to me like that's where the most money is. I
yeah.
mean, especially more so short term, right? So for me, how I got into it was I don't like being broke, man. Like even young, like I don't want to be broke, like and like I've been told, like I've learned that rich people don't just save money. Like we've been kind of taught that, to get rich and to get wealth, you just have to work hard and save your money and put it in RSP and stuff like that, and you'll be okay. And it's like rich people don't do that,
No.
and it's like kind of me figuring that out and seeing and studying certain rich people either through books or documentaries and stuff like that and figuring out certain things that they did to get to the position that they're in now. It's like, why would I just do what everybody else is doing? Like I need to go and figure out how to make the most amount of money with the money that I have, right? So
Exactly, and I think that's a mindset that is lost because, like as you said, like I was brought up in the same way, where
mhm.
I was the way I was brought, and there's nothing wrong with the way I was brought up. But I have a great family and a great
Yeah,
upbringing.
me too,
But
absolutely.
it was go to school, get a
Good
job,
job. Yeah,
9 to 5,
yeah.
get your
Get,
benefits, get your
get overtime
pension,
if you can.
get
Yeah.
benefits, get your pension, and you're out. Whereas
hmm
I went the completely opposite route. I went into professional fighting, which one is a terrible career choice,
It
terrible for finances. And then my business is in personal training, which is also you don't get benefits. The hours are not 9 to 5. It's all over the place, right? So
yeah.
I kind of went the opposite route. But what I find exciting about the way kind of we're approaching life and is that I'm not really I'm not guaranteed a paycheck anymore.
Right.
Every 2 weeks I don't get a paycheck. Sometimes I'll get a whole lot of money at once, and
Yeah.
sometimes I won't get any money.
Anything, yeah, yeah. But
And
that's business though.
that's
That's
it.
business.
And that's
Obviously, you have your
to
own
me, that's
business, right?
exciting because I
Yeah.
like the fact that I don't know where my next check is coming from or how much it's gonna be.
hmm
And that kind of motivates me to work harder and
Get
to
up and go get it.
get
Yeah.
up and go get it and to invest smarter as well.
hmm
So like what how did you develop your investing mindset? Like you didn't want to be broke. I get
Yeah.
that. But there's a mindset to an investor. Like, Warren Buffett has his books and stuff, and there's different kind of mindsets of how you want to invest and how
Mhm.
you approach them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if you remember me talking about. Remember the group chat? Of course, you remember the
Yeah,
group chat.
yeah.
But something that I was first talking about was covered call rating.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I
Covered
remember.
call
Yeah.
rating and the concept of that. So the person that I got that from was actually a person named, I believe, Trevor Jackson. I believe they call him the wealthy investor.
Yes, I
So
know.
that you know about Trevor Jackson?
Yeah, I think you sent the link in that chat.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Right, right, right. So he had a podcast with about 130 episodes, just kind of breaking down the financial markets and you know, I guess trading concepts for beginners and stuff like that. For people that don't really want to be sitting in front of a computer all day, like staring at charts, like this is the
yeah.
best kind of way to invest and get the biggest bang for your buck. So I kind of started by, honestly, I just stumbled upon the podcast one day, literally just outside, like literally shadowboxing in my backyard. I was
Yeah.
like, I need something to listen to. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna actually start getting into this investment thing. So I stumbled upon that podcast and literally ran through probably all 130 episodes within a month and a half. And after that, like I was hooked.
You were
I was
hooked.
hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I was focused on was investing. My my only priority was, working so that I could put more money aside to invest. And realistically, that's kind of where I got my mindset was really that podcast. Also, you know about Earn Your Leisure?
Yes, yes.
I'll always tweeting Earn Your Leisure. Shout out Earn Your Leisure. They put on for everybody, man. Like they're changing lives out here. I'm not gonna lie. So that they're also a big reason why I got into it because they make it so reachable. Like all the information is so reachable and understandable, and it's like they break it down in a way that even people who don't know much about investing or percentages or ROIs and stuff like that can come in and kind of take it like step by
Well,
step and eventually
I
get to
think
where they
that's
want to
a
go.
thing that's lost in many people, especially older people. They feel like investing your money, regardless of whether it's real estate or whatever, they feel like it's a complicated process and like you have
Yeah,
to learn a lot.
yeah.
But what people fail to realize is with the internet, you don't have to fucking go anywhere.
At all.
Everything I've learned about investing, I've learned literally while sitting on my phone on my couch or at my computer. I didn't have
Same.
to like I'm not putting like these people down. You know, like you have the those commercials all the time for the people that help you invest and get to with
Yeah,
a broker and stuff. That's like the old school method of thinking that you have
yeah.
to have
Go to a
somebody
professional.
invest
Yeah,
your money,
yeah,
right? Whereas the internet is sort of empowered, especially the younger generation, which they haven't taken advantage yet. But we're gonna get to that in a
yeah. For
bit.
sure, for sure.
The internet's empowered younger generation to actually be able to make a crap load of money, and
Oh
you
yeah,
don't even need to leave your house,
yep,
right?
yep.
And the I wouldn't when I say older, I mean like I'm early 30s. I'm 32, but like I notice like friends that are like 35, 36. Like, oh, that's too much work. I don't know. I don't want. I'm like, come on, man. This has never been a better time to get involved, and it doesn't even
Yeah,
matter what age you do it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It doesn't. I
And
mean, granted, the longer you wait to invest, the slower your money grows. But
yes,
still, it's never too late, right?
yeah, and well, the early some of my clients they actually like run funds and stuff like that. So I get like they give me advice all the
Hmm.
time. And the one thing that they always say is it's good that you're starting young because one, you get to make your mistakes now and they don't matter. And two, you could just buy something and just let it grow for like the next 20 years.
Yeah,
You don't have
that's
to,
Apple.
yeah.
That's Apple for me, man. Already up
Apple, yeah,
5%. Yeah, like,
exactly,
look,
exactly.
half
And
a
like
year, man.
that's what we're doing with my kids. We're buying them Apple stock and
Yeah,
putting
yeah,
them in an account for them because hey,
yeah,
you don't have to be investor to know that Apple stock grows like 500% every 2 years.
yeah.
You don't have to be educated and be in charts and learn to
And
know that.
watching, yeah, every
You
day,
don't have
man.
to be watching every day to know that. All you gotta know is if I put $1,000 into Apple stock now, it's there's a good 80% chance in 2 years
Beat
it's gonna
inflation.
it's gonna be 5,000 within 2 3 years, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean the internet has taken all the guesswork out of investing. Like it's empowered people to do it.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
just it's weird how not a lot of younger folks have taken on to that yet.
Mhm.
And coming from that, because you probably have a lot of friends the same age as you. Do you notice that they're not interested in it, or why haven't they taken that
Um,
step yet?
well, I think for the most part, the way that we're raised, like we're all kind of taught because most of our parents aren't investors. Like we're for the most part first generation investors, right? So
Yeah,
like to our parents, I'm sure you experience the same type of energy. But like when you talk to your parents about the stock market, it's like the boogeyman. Like it's kind
yeah,
of like the name that's not supposed to be said. It's left for the professionals only, and that's the scary place where you can lose all your money. But it's like yeah, but once you really understand what's going on, it's like, do you understand how hard it is to have $10,000, just for example, right?
yeah.
And divvy it up between, five or three different good quality companies, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. What is the likelihood that any of those three companies are going to go to zero in the next 5 years?
Probably 0%
All
chance.
right. So how is it even possible for you to just lose all your money? Unless you're being ridiculous and just taking all your money and putting it to like a penny stock and being like, you know what? I think it's gonna double tomorrow.
Yeah,
Let's just toss it in. Like it's not as scary as people make it seem, but they won't tell you that because they don't do it. So how would they know?
yeah. Well, I mean, like it was a good example. Is like my dad actually invests, but he never taught
Mm,
me. He never taught me.
mm,
It wasn't until I got older and I started investing, and then I would talk about it, and then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I have some of that too." I'm like, "Wait a minute,
mm,
I thought you didn't do it." Like, so I think it's important, especially like with my kids. I'm gonna teach them. I don't give a
all
shit.
right.
As soon as they're like 10 years old, I'm gonna say, "Hey, give me $1 out of your allowance. We're gonna
Mm,
invest it," right?
mm,
Because I think that by the time you hit your teens, if you know when you get into your 20s, you don't have to work as hard. You can focus on
oh yeah.
a lot of other stuff that you want to enjoy and pursue in life,
Yep.
work wise, other than 9 to 5, right?
Dude, I'm
And
with that.
yeah, and I'm about that life too. too.
Yeah, and listen, like this, I do the same thing with my sister. Like, obviously, I don't have kids, but I have a younger sister. Right, she's
Yeah,
13. She's kind of seen me like on the grind, like the investment grind, always looking at charts and stuff, looking at different investments, and it's probably been about 3 years now of her just seeing me do all this stuff, And at
yeah,
first, like I would try to push it on her as well, but she's not at the place mentally yet where she's ready to absorb that kind of information. But something changed recently because I recently moved out of the house. I got my own condo. I'm
yeah,
in Vaughan now, and I left a bunch of books back at the house, right? So there was like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, and I also had a stock book.
yeah,
And like she's become so curious because I've talked to her about it so much that she's literally reading all of the books. She's reading the stock market book and stuff like that. Like think about it. This is a 13-year-old taking
yeah,
in all this information.
exactly.
Like I didn't start learning about this stuff really until like maybe 3 years ago. Didn't put my foot in until last year.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, exactly. Same with me. We're along the same timeline,
mhm.
right? The one thing I wanted to kind of ask is, you know, everyone thinks of investing as a scary thing, but how has it changed your mindset on money and how the economy works? Because for like, I'll let you answer first because I have my way it changed me. But like,
Mm.
how has investing changed your literal view of money and an economy? Right?
To me now money is a tool. Money is it's to me there's a plethora of money. Like we could all be multimillionaires together and
Yes.
there'll be more money running around. So it's like the like people, trying to like be like crabs in a barrel and try to get one over other people. Like I'm not really with that.
Yes.
So I've just realized that, it takes money to make money, and the more money you have, the more money you can make. But also, what rich people do and wealth, not really rich, I'm more so focused on wealthy people because rich people won't necessarily last forever, but wealthy is
Yeah.
generational, right?
Yeah. Generational wealth. Yeah.
That's kind of my goal. But what I've realized is that wealthy people don't use their money. They don't use their money to buy stuff. What
Yeah.
they do is they take their money, put it into investments, and then the returns that they get on the investments, then they go and buy things with.
Yes.
Right? They don't just take the money that they make from their 9 to 5 day job and say, okay, I'm gonna go buy a Gucci bag. Like, no, make your investment, go and pay for your car, your bag, even your house, all that kind of stuff. Right? Use growing assets to allow you to get the things that you want. So it's kind of shaped my mentality in a certain way. That's like, even though I have $1,000, I don't have $1,000. You know,
Yeah,
like
I know what you
I
mean.
I don't have $1,000 until that $1,000 has doubled, and now I can take out the original principal, put it aside, and that $1,000 from the return is
Yeah,
not what I can spend. You know.
yeah. Take out what you put in, right, and then play with the
Exactly.
house's money, so to speak,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly.
And then,
So
but that's a great mindset. Like I personally, when I started investing, I started saying I'd hold a $20 bill,
mm,
and I'd be at a store to pay for something, and to me, I'd be handing them the $20 bill, and then I would be like, I'm not getting anything back.
yep,
I'm getting a product.
yeah,
I'm not getting anything back. And the thing about that changed my mindset for investing was I started seeing things like, if I give you $10, how much do I get back? And that's like now how I think. I don't think in the terms of like my old school thinking. Now I'm thinking like, so to put it in like you just said, like now that the economy is opening up and stores are opening up, my wife is excited to go shopping, and I'm like,
hmm
hold on now. I'm
slow
like, I'm
roll.
like, I'm like, I'm like, the reason we actually did super well last year compared to other people during a pandemic was because all the stores were closed. And what I realized last year was that there was a lot of times we would go out and buy shit just because we were out
Yeah,
to
yeah,
buy
yeah,
shit,
oh, yeah,
right?
dude.
And now with my investor mentality, I'm like, okay, all those times we went to Home Sense just to walk around, and we ended up leaving paying $80 for some stupid candlesticks or whatever the fuck we bought.
Yeah,
Where that $80 could have bought me a fucking share of whatever,
yeah, yeah,
and
or four.
I would get $5 back a year from that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now I'm just kind of thinking in that mentality of the same thing you said, where you buying things with your investment profits as opposed to the money that you've made
right.
personally, right? And the other thing I like, my wife gets mad at me too because I'm constantly kind of looking at the news, not because I don't give a shit basically what's going on, but I understand the economy. Like, so you know how like certain news will affect
Yep.
investments,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
like I will look at the news and be like, okay, that's gonna be down tomorrow. And 99% of the time I'm right now because I'm that's how investing has changed my view. I'm not looking at the news because I care about
Yeah.
COVID cases or I care about all this. Like, oh, COVID cases are going up. Okay. All right. That means the market's going to respond to that. Right. So now I'm looking at news and what's happening in the world and the economy, and I can understand it more. I have a more comprehensive view of what's going on. And that kind of gives me a step above other people. Right. Not that I'm trying to compete with other people, but in terms of my mindset.
Yeah, 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 absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I view money differently now, and I'm sure it's the same for you as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you pick your investments?
Um, in terms of stocks, what I was primarily doing was one, I would only invest in companies that I understood, like
Yeah.
how do they make money, what are their avenues to make money, all that kind of stuff. And then for me, the biggest part is kind of just looking at the financial statements, like the income statement, the cash flow statement, and the what's the last one? Financial. Can't remember, but there's three of them on Yahoo Finance,
Yeah, yeah.
and
The
you can literally just physically look at the numbers of what the business is doing and be like, oh, this top line, the top line revenue for this company, you can physically see over the last 4 years went from four billion to 5 billion to 6 billion to 7 billion. You know, like that to me is a good sign to start. And then I kind of look deeper into the numbers and see what's their net profit, how much money are they spending, what are they spending money on, all that kind of stuff. And then if it makes sense, I'd invest in them. You know, but as I said, it's all companies that I understand. Like for me, like mind you, I sold a lot of what I had because I have kind of diversified my portfolio now. And
same.
just I'm really just sitting on Apple, but at one point I had Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Microsoft, Coke, and I think iBuy or iPay, one of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah,
Yes, so these are all companies that we're both really familiar with, right? And
yeah.
obviously are doing pretty well. So for me, it's more so blue chip stuff.
Blue chips.
One, but focusing on the numbers and like, if it's like,
The balance sheet, a strong balance sheet.
yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, the balance sheet. So if it's like if the numbers say, oh, the top line revenue went from 6 to 5 to 5.5 to 4 to 4.5 to 3, it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing all right, but the numbers are going way down. I don't know if
Yeah,
this is something I'm willing to put my
I do
money
something similar. So like what I
in.
do is at night I'll take the CBD oil because it nice and gets me nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Put in my headphones. My kids are asleep, and then I'll put on house music and I'll start reading. I'll have a list of at least I can do 10 at a time, and
Mhm.
I'll look at the 10 companies and I'll have the balance sheet out. So it's one thing to see your revenues, but I want to see what your debt is, right? I want to
Mhm.
see your
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
short term and long term debt. I don't care very much about long term debt as I care about the short term debt. What do you
Yeah,
owe right now? I look at uh, are they clawing back dividends? Are they consistently giving
yeah,
more dividends? If they're consistently giving more dividends, that's a company I want to be involved with. If they're
mhm,
clawing back dividends, there's a reason why, and
right,
I'm not sure I want to be involved with that. I also look at the underlying business, right? Is it something that can grow, or is it something that's kind of just a stagnant business?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. How they
for
doing?
example, you just said Coke, right? Coke is a great business; so it'll always make revenue, but unless the underlying business is virtually the same for Coke, right?
Yeah,
So when you invest in a company like Coke, you're investing for dividends strictly because unless
mhm,
Coke is making acquisitions, unless
mhm,
they're buying up other companies, like buying up Monster or whatever
yeah,
other,
yeah, yeah,
right? Their their growth potential is limited. Whereas if you look at a company like Tesla,
mhm,
growth potential is
yeah.
immense, right?
Yeah,
Right. That's how I view it. And then I take the headphones out and I go, okay, go to my wife. I'm like, hey, babe. Okay, so here's what we're gonna buy. This is the number we're gonna buy it. I put it on. We have a little clipboard there. I put all the numbers on the clipboard so she knows in case I'm on
exactly.
the road. If she sees the numbers there, that's what you need to buy. That's how my process of doing it. The other thing that I've been some people have advised me on is knowing what the underlying, like I just said, the underlying company does,
Yeah,
and knowing if there's a change in it. So like one thing I've started to do, I have to do it a lot more is when earnings come out, when a company releases the earnings, they do the
yeah, yeah,
calls.
yeah,
They do the calls. And like before I was like, oh, I'm too lazy. I'm not gonna listen to the calls or whatever. But now I started reading the transcripts, reading the calls, and I like recently we invested in Netflix, for example. And their earnings just came out. It was a decent earnings, and now they said they want to get involved into video games, right? Into
mhm.
video game streaming. So
Yeah,
for
I heard
me,
about that actually.
I look at that in two ways. I look at that as a risk because to get involved into another avenue of streaming, they have to put in more money, right?
Mhm,
So if they have to put in more money, there's a might be a small chance in the future you see the stock split, which is for people who have a whole lot of shares, it's a good thing. But for
mhm,
people who don't have a crap load of money and have a small amount of shares, like for example me, it's not a great thing because that reduces my equity, and
right.
that means that they need to raise more cash and able to do that, and they're going to put themselves into more debt. So by understanding the underlying business and the financials, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait for this thing to kind of go up, and I might have to sell it before I actually wanted to.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
what I bought it for this framework. Now they're changing the framework on me a little bit.
Mhm,
They're
mhm.
going to be taking on more debt to produce more money. Now, in the long term, it might work out, but if it doesn't, I'm holding the bag, right? And so that's the one thing. I mean, it's some people will be lazy and they don't want to be involved in that, and that's fine. You can hire a broker and they take care of that. They can sell and buy your assets for you. But for
Mhm,
me, that's
mhm.
an exciting thing to be involved
Yeah,
with
hell
because
yeah.
I'm not losing money. I haven't lost money. I've gained money if I sell right now. But knowing those things makes me super educated about what's going on. And so like even when I turn on my TV and I put on Netflix, I'm like, I understand this business.
Mhm, and
You know
it's
what I
like,
mean?
thank you for I'm making myself money right now, you
Yes,
know?
exactly.
Yeah,
And like even my wife's grandfather, he used to invest a lot and he would invest in companies that he used. So like he would be like, he's invested. He would be invested in Bell. And he's like, well, they're paying the dividends, pay my bills, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny is that I just remembered like how I really started or I first got into it was it was during the pandemic. One is because of Serb. Like, if anybody was smart during Serb, and I mean, granted, everybody had different situations, but
Yeah.
a lot of people got Serb money and just decided to go and buy Gucci bags and some Louis Vuitton kicks and shit like that, just so they
Yeah.
could stun on their friends. But if you're smart and you could afford it, like personally, I took basically all the Serb money I got because I was still working at the time and like just put into savings, right? So that allowed me to have a little bit of a net to start investing with. And I remember being in the Canadian Tire line, like during the pandemic, and the line was so long that I'm sitting in the line and I'm like, wait a minute, how is this company like still booming so much? Like
Yeah.
the line is literally around the corner, you know? So I went, looked at the stock, looked at the chart, looked at the balance sheet, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, this is definitely a good company to invest into. So that's how I initially got into Canadian Tire. And Canadian Tire made me a pretty penny and also had, I want to say, some like a crazy dividend rate. I don't know if you remember. I think we talked about it, but
Yeah. It was high for Canadian stock. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But then also, but in terms of what you're saying, like kind of buying things that you're using, like another thing that I invested in was UPS. I remember
yeah, you
putting
talked
that in
about
the group chat. Yeah, that was another. That was probably one of my biggest investments yet. And the reason why I invested in UPS is because I was actually at that time I was working on a UPS facility, right? And basically the facility is it's a fully automated facility about I want to say a mile long or a kilometer long, something like that. And
Yeah.
it's basically just a bunch of different conveyor systems that trucks will literally just back into the building, and it has machines that extend into the truck. So there's no more like carrying packages around. You literally just take the package, put it on the conveyor, and it shoots it across the building, to like the next truck and sorts it, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, holy shit, like this company is innovating and they're becoming more efficient and better. Like,
They're
why
more
am I not
productive,
investing in
right?
this? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what inspired me to get into UPS. And UPS went probably gave me like a 40% before I got out, plus good dividends. So, that's kind of also another way that I started.
Yeah, and the other thing is like stuff that I use like toothpaste. I started looking at toothpaste.
Yeah,
I started looking at the back. I'm like, ah, Procter and Gamble.
Johnson
All
Johnson.
right, right. Things that you use every day and you
Yeah,
never noticed before, and you're like, well, that is a company that I can make money from that
yeah,
makes money from me, right?
yeah,
And it's a this crazy ecosystem that a lot of people are scared of and sheltered from, for lack of a better term. And
yeah.
we were going to talk about it later on, but I'll go right to it. Because you were speaking about the Serb. So the pandemic did a weird thing where it gave governments the authority, not authority, but the means to pump out a shitload of money into the economy. And that being like in the US, it was the stimulus checks, and in Canada, it was the CERB payments. Um, like, how do you think, like, this generation of investors, if you, like you said, if you were smart and you could afford it, you would have put that money to work, right? So,
Or unfortunately,
how do you think that in the long term, that this extra money into the market and into investing is going to pan out? Do you think it's going to lead to like a crash, so to speak, or do you think it's like an inflationary part of the market?
I think so. Truthfully, I see it as being something good. It's allowed a lot of young investors to get their foot in the door, just like I did.
Yeah.
A lot of people were not the smartest with the money, but a lot of people also were. And like as like it's I guess they're saying there's a lot more retail investors now or something like that after the
Yes.
pandemic. And realistically, that's because of CERB. Most people didn't have, $5,000 or $10,000 to put into an investment, but now the option's there because they're literally just giving us money. And like my thing was like, even if I have to pay it back because I don't know if I'm eligible or as eligible as I think
Yeah.
I am, it's essentially just an interest-free loan,
Yeah. That's what
right?
that's
So
what
if
I,
you're exactly. So if you're smart about it, you know that you have a period of time to make that money do something before you have to give it back. So
yeah.
essentially, you have money to make free money with.
And that's where if you were educated and you took the time, you could put into a safe investment like
Yeah,
Microsoft, Apple, any of
yeah,
the FANG stocks, and
yeah.
you would have literally, like you said, 40%
Dude,
minimum last
yeah, if you started last year and like you didn't get impatient like me and sold all your shit because you got excited, like
year.
Tesla was up 60% before I sold it.
Yeah,
Like Amazon was up 40% before I sold it. Mind you, all of this is within like 6 months,
yeah,
right? So imagine like where I'd be at now. Like my Apple shares are up 30% now, but it's like, it's been 6 months. So it's like I wish I was more aggressive when I first started as well. Oh
yeah,
yeah, oh my gosh. And another reason how I first started with investing was that when everything crashed, I was like, okay, on every single chart, I was like, it's the exact same shit. They were
yeah,
all moving in one direction. And then there's this big drop around like March. I think it was like 15th, 8th or something like, but
yeah,
within
yeah,
that window of 2020, right? So I was like, okay, realistically, if you focus on the business and the business is still solid, yes, it might be in debt and certain things, but focusing on the right industries, realistically, the easiest thing that you could do right now is simply this company was here before. Now
yeah,
they just drastically dropped to here. That means at some point, because it's going like this, it's gonna have to come back to at least here,
yes,
right? It might take a little while, but if you're willing to be patient, it will recover to
yeah.
that, and it's like literally probably every single stock like out there, except for the ones that couldn't handle it, are back at where like they were
Well,
before it did.
they're above, right? And that's
Exactly, right? And that's what I'm saying. So it's like that was my original like
and the key word you
trading
used there was
strategy.
patience, right? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
I didn't have, and I regret, and I'll
Me too,
openly,
man.
I don't openly talk about it because I want people to learn from it. And this was my first market crash. I haven't like
Me
the
too.
first market crash I've been involved with. I've
Yeah.
learned about the ones before, but this is the first one I've been involved. And I made so many mistakes, not where I lost money, but where I
But
could
just
have
missed
made
on
money.
opportunities.
And I'll highlight a few of them so people can learn from the mistakes I made. And the first one was Wendy's, fast foods restaurant Wendy's. When the stock crashed, it was down at $6. It was down at $6. My and then so me and my wife were sitting, and my wife was like, "Wendy's, that's your favorite fast food restaurant, Ashton. Whenever you do a cheat meal, you go there. You should invest in Wendy's." I'm like, "Fuck no! It's a pandemic. No one's going to fast food."
Yeah, yeah,
This was
yeah.
very early. This is when the lockdowns first started. I'm like, no one's going to fast food. No one's going to Wendy's. The fucking stock is like at $25 to $28. It was at 28 not too long ago. You
Yeah,
would have literally 300%ed yourself, right?
yeah.
And that's just one example. My second example, and the one I regret more, is I bought a shitload of
Mm,
Gap stock, right? And this is the patience thing. I bought it when it crashed and it was at $4. I think it was 4.50. I got it very low. And it was going up. It was like a 9 when I sold it. So I thought I did it. I thought I was a fucking hey, I made a lot, I made some money, $9. And that was just impatience because during the pandemic, it was just for especially for retail stocks, for retail companies, there was just negative news after negative news of them keeping taking out debt, keeping it. And when you're learning to invest, you're like, oh, if they keep taking out net debt, that's bad. If I'm holding on to this, that's bad. The case numbers keep going up, it's bad. The fucking thing is above what it was pre-pandemic. No, and it was just because I was impatient and
yep.
I just didn't understand um, a market crash. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing, like you said, if people had known, like, say you got your $2,000 CERB check and you had bought in one of these companies and just held them, and you
Yeah,
even if you had to give the CERB check back, you would have made a 300% gain
yeah.
and without doing anything, right?
Anything.
So I
It, it,
mean, it's a for me the next because we will live through at least 2 or 3 more of
oh,
market
for
crashes
sure.
for sure.
Sure.
For me, I'm salivating at the mouth. I mean,
Oh, right?
because
Dude, I was gonna say, listen.
I'm waiting for the next market crash because even if I lose everything, I will take
Know how
out.
to make it back.
I know how to make it back, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna make it back in an even bigger way, right?
exactly.
Because
Yeah,
this like you said, these are if you're looking at blue chip companies that are going to be around, don't for one second think that that stock dip is a reflection of the company. It's not.
Yeah,
It's a fear of whatever the world situation is going on at the time, right?
exactly. And what was I gonna say? This is the thing that, like, our parents have also shown us, like, in terms of their worrisome in regards to the market. They're like, oh, you could lose all your money. What if it goes down? Then what? It's like, okay, but like, over the however many years that the market has been live, like, the market's only been down like 9% of the time.
Yeah.
So why are we even talking about, like, the downswings? I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, yes, but if you know what you're doing, you can leverage yourself and, actually come out better than, like, to me, like, well, to us now, because we understand, like, a crash is a very, very good thing. Like,
Yeah.
mind you, yes, if you have your investments in and it goes down, that's one thing. But I'm saying, like, everything is on sale, right? It's literally like walking into a Black Friday
Deal.
of investments. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're really smart about it, and you're not just like average consumer mindset. So it's like, I don't
Well,
know.
this past Monday there was a market sell off, right?
Hmm.
Everything went down 2%. I bought shit,
Mm,
right? And now I'm learning where as before I would like last year, the year before, and the year before, I would be consistently just looking to buy something.
mm,
Now I'm pulling, getting my money together, waiting. Like the money, like here's another thing that if you haven't invested yet, that this is something you should don't invest money that you fucking need.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right,
That's like
right.
rule number one.
Rule
Yeah.
number one: don't invest money that you need. So like every at the end of every month, when we go through our finances, which as people should do, you should do that. I'll be like, okay, I have X amount of dollars that we don't need. It's just there. So I'm gonna put half of that to work. But
Hmm.
instead of like before, I would automatically go buy something. Now I'm just putting it in my account, waiting, and on days like Monday where the whole market goes down 2% and there's a correction,
Hmm.
that's it. I'm in. Lo and
Hmm.
behold, the very next fucking day, the same thing I just bought is up 5%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Because all of these things, like it's the patience thing, the being patient and learning about opportunity. When a stock goes down, or when a company, like Peloton is a good example. Not a big fan of the company, but then
Mm,
their treadmill goes and kills a kid. Right? They have to recall the thing. The
mhm,
fucking stock sells down to, it was at like 120, goes down to like mid 80s, low 80s. You look at that, you're like, oh, Peloton's never gonna come back. Well, when you look at the underlying company, they are gonna come back. Lo and behold, the thing's over $100 now. So if you like, sometimes negative news is actually, like you said, Black Friday for certain things.
yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah,
and if you get experienced enough and you're calm and you don't fucking freak out, the thing like if you were a Peloton stock owner when that happened, you should have bought more instead of
yeah,
selling the damn thing. You should
yeah,
have bought more, averaged yourself down, and
yeah,
you would have won a whole. You would have got a whole lot more money. Like
yeah,
for example,
exactly.
one of our positions right now, it's one of the online gamblings. I'm down 30%. I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna buy more. I'm just
Mhm,
waiting for my opportunity to buy more because I've looked at the chart. I know that in September the thing is gonna go up. That's just this traditional thing. I'm waiting until the end of August and I'm gonna buy more. I'm down 30%. Some people would freak out, right? Me 6 months ago would have freaked out. Now I'm not freaking out anymore. I'm like, okay,
mhm.
I'm
This is
waiting
part
for.
of the game,
I'm,
baby. It's part
I'm
of the
like,
game.
I'm waiting for it to go down 35%, 40%. Go as low as you can go before I average down to buy more because that's what investors think about, right? You know what I mean? If the company was good that you bought, you shouldn't be worried that it's going down.
When it
Plain and
goes
simple.
down, you should be buying more.
Yeah, exactly. Plain and simple. If you did your research and you did it well, when a stock goes down or a company has some negative news and it causes the price of the stock to go down, you should be buying more, right?
Yep.
Unless, like I said before, the underlying
Foundation is
functionality
not
of the
solid.
company changed, right? Which it
Yeah,
didn't. The one thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is over the last, this is only over the last 6 months or 7 months, this kind of started happening. The Wall Street bets trade revolution, right? It's for those who don't know, it's Reddit. There's a bunch of these guys on Reddit. Uh, they pick stocks that people short.
yeah.
So for
AMC.
AMC. So for AMC, GameStop, there's a few
Mm.
other ones. So for people who don't know what shorting is, I'm not gonna like sit here and try to explain it. Watch The Big Short. It's a
Mm.
great movie for an example of that. But basically, um, these guys are buying stocks at a certain level and trying to sell them for more, and these guys are driving the price up so that these guys can't do it. That's a stupid, dumbass version of me explaining it, and that costs the hedge funds money when they bet against the stock. Put it that way. Now, the institutional investors have accused the volatility of the market based on that. They're basically saying that these Wall Street bets guys, these retail investors that are piling into this, because I'll be guilty. I piled in at the start too, just to play the game.
It's
Um,
exciting, yeah.
it was exciting, but I got
Yeah.
burned, right? And
Yeah.
we're contributing to the volatility of the market. Now, do you think that institutional investors are just saying that to scare off the little guys like me or you
Oh,
from
for sure,
for
for
doing
sure,
things like that?
absolutely. What they don't want us to make money. Like you saw the whole Robin Hood thing with I think it was GameStop or AMC, but like
It
there
was
was a
both,
point where
and BlackBerry as well.
yeah, where they like cut off like people were trying to put in trades and orders and stuff, and they literally just cut it off, and it was like that's never happened before. Now all these retail investors are making so much money, and they literally just like were like, no, like absolutely not. We're stopping this right now, and it still went up, went down, all that kind of stuff. Like super fluctuated. There's lots of volatility, but a lot of people couldn't even enter,
Yeah,
right? Because I guess the hedge funds are losing so much money, and I guess because they're the big fish in this ocean, they kind of dictate what happens, what doesn't happen. So they don't like when the little guys win. They want to like fuck us. You know what I'm saying? So
they
it's like
want us to hold the bag. The
exactly,
investing term for holding the bag, for those who don't know, is when they want us to buy high so that they make money, and then they
yep,
drop the share price, and then they buy back in low, and then we're stuck holding. So for a financial, for those who don't know, say I buy something at 100, they sell the stock down to 80 something. Now I'm stuck with $100 a share, and they rebuy at 80, and they're making a fuckload of money, right?
mhm,
And then I'm screwed and I'm down 20%. For those people who don't know what holding the bag means, that's what hedge funds want. They
yep,
want, and I don't know how early you wake up, but I wake up early because I do a lot of my clients very early in the morning. So I watch the market sometimes at 5 a.m.
mm,
Okay, and I'll see certain stocks that I own are down 5% at 5 a.m. I'm like, who the fuck is selling a five? When you see something down 5%, that's a big, large amount of stock. Who the fuck's selling that at 5 a.m.? It's not
yeah,
me or you. My
yeah,
account doesn't allow me to sell shit at 5 a.m.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all a hedge fund. By the time 9:30 rolls around and the market's open, it's in the green, right? So I think people need to understand the market is bigger than me or you. Like
well, absolutely.
I like
Super tiny fish, like little,
we're the tiniest little fish. These
shrimp.
are all these trades that these guys are doing. They're not sitting there on their TD investing account like me and you putting in the trade. These are all computer generated based on metrics that
Algorithms.
algorithms and metrics that you can't beat. You're not smart enough to beat them, right? But the Wall Street bets guys beat them by pooling together. And it was very interesting to see it. And they actually took down a hedge fund. It was fucking interesting to see it. But do you think that is kind of running its course? Because I kind of believe it is. But
Honestly, I've never been into it. I saw the hype, and I'm like, one thing the wealthy investor taught me was don't chase the hype.
yes,
Like,
don't
and
chase
don't.
money.
And also I learned not to invest in penny stocks.
Yes.
And to me, also another thing I learned from the wealthy investors, like any company that's under $20 US, it's a penny stock. It's
Yeah.
not just companies that are just in pennies. Like no, no, no. If they haven't essentially made like if their share price is not over $50, $20, like they're a penny stock. So it's like for for those ones, AMC and GameStop, and I was like, nah, I'm not touching those, man.
Yeah.
It could go one or two ways. I could miss time, and I could time it, but realistically, it's kind of like just rolling the dice, being like,
Yeah. Exactly. It's rolling dice.
I read,
But
you know,
what my feeling on those that situation is you can. get the army together as much as you want. But
Hmm.
but I don't give a shit what anybody says. You can get 150 guys together to take down a hedge fund, but their money is gonna run out. The hedge
Hmm.
fund's money is not gonna run out.
Not gonna run out. Yeah.
So, what I feel like is this is kind of a revolving door where they're gonna keep pumping their own money in, and the hedge fund is gonna keep doing it, and eventually the hedge fund will win,
Yeah.
right? And I kind of see it's kind of happening right now, but like for like I wanted to ask you like when you look at your whole portfolio, you talked about diversifying your portfolio before. How do you balance things out? Like what percentages do you use towards dividends? What percentages do you use towards growth or risk? Or do you
I'd
even
say
use
like 25, 25, 25, 25. That's kind of like a basis. Like, I've just been kind of taught don't put all your eggs in one basket, you know? So, like, I'll obviously be a little risky with a little bit. I'll be a little more like conservative, and then I'll focus more on dividends in certain areas. And then, honestly, I have a couple different investments on the go, and that's kind of why I said I sold all my shit. Like, the only stock that I'm holding right now is Apple, not even Amazon or Tesla. Sold them, got rid of them, and I was kind of disappointed to be honest because if I just left it, it would be up even more. But it is what it is. So as I said, yeah, I kind of 25, 25, 25, 25. For me, like there's other ways to make money right now. So my understanding of the stock market will allow me to take the money that I generate and allow it to,
work in other
live
places?
longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's not for me right now, the stock market. And that's honestly, that's kind of why I went quiet on the group chat too, because like I'm kind of on my own journey, and it was like,
yeah,
the reason I created that group chat was because like I was super new to it. One, like I was already involved, I bought a bunch of shares and stuff, but I had nobody to talk about it with.
yeah.
Like, most people don't talk about this shit. So I was like, let me just get like 15, 20 people in a group chat that are all doing the same shit. So, like some people are looking at me like, oh, like, how do you think you can just start a group chat and be teaching people about stocks? I'm like, bro, I'm not teaching anybody about anything. I'm just gonna have conversation, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What is this guy doing? What are you investing in and why? Maybe if we come together, we can all figure it out. But
Well, that's pretty much what the Wall Street bets thing was. It,
exactly,
it was
right. But
it
I'm
was
just on a
coming
smaller scale,
was
or a
coming
larger.
together. That I mean, for different purpose. They were coming together to take down a hedge fund, but
Yeah,
we were trying to get people together to share ideas and to
yeah, exactly.
learn more, right? Because like we're talking about investing, like people will be like, all these guys invest in the stock. Investing is way more than stocks.
Yeah,
There's, but the in my opinion, the best way to learn to invest is to start with stocks and
facts.
then venture off into real estate, into
Yeah, yeah. Let's go to
acquisition of
capital.
other companies, into buying into or
Business,
like
business.
businesses. Like for example, if a friend comes to me now and says, "Hey, do you want to invest in my business?" I understand what I need to look at in order to make the analysis to see if this is a wise investment to
Mhm.
lend this person money to start their business. I also know now what to ask for. Whereas if you asked me 3 years ago, hey, give me 10 grand, Ashton, and invest in my business, I wouldn't know what the fuck to ask for. I'd have been like, what? Well, okay, here's 10 grand. Right. But
Mhm.
now I'm going to be like, what's my return on investment, bitch? I'm giving you 10 grand. If I'm giving you 10 grand, when can I expect my 10 grand back? What's the
Yeah,
principal on my 10 grand? How much interest am I getting back? You
yeah.
know, how many shares of the company am I going to be getting? I'm able to ask all these questions now. If someone was to approach me, where it was like 3 years ago, I'd have been like, well, sorry, bro, I need my 10 grand and I'm not giving it to you. Right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I mean, that's what investing has done for me, and it's a bigger picture. Like, it's not just stocks. People think it's just stocks that you're playing the stock market.
Nah,
No,
nah.
it's a vessel. It's a learning. It's one form of investment. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Then there's options, crypto.
What's your
Yeah,
opinion on crypto? What do you think about
honestly,
crypto?
it's just charts. Like, there's nothing to go off of. That's what I didn't like. I can't go and look at the balance sheets of cryptos.
Yeah,
It's literally you're just looking at the chart and being like, okay, what is it gonna do? And I was never a chart guy. Shout out my boy Knox. He does like forex and crypto. He does all that trading stuff. So he's trading me right now. So I'm actually getting more into the trading side.
yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. to be honest, the only crypto I ever put money into was Bitcoin, and like I'm pretty sure I lost the account.
Yeah,
So mind you, I didn't have a whole Bitcoin; it's just fractional
fractional.
shares, and
Yeah,
I didn't even buy it at the best place. So it's okay, you know. That's how the game goes sometimes. But um, basically, he's this Knox, the guy I'm telling you about. He's my business partner, so we kind of do everything together now. So we're thinking about putting some money into like he's saying there's about to be a big crypto boom because cryptos has been moving in a certain direction and it
yeah.
operates in cycles. There's about to be a boom, so we're planning on taking advantage of that. But I like the crypto markets. It's very volatile. People are making a lot of money, a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if there's money to be made, hey, I ain't a hater. I ain't
Yeah,
no hater.
exactly. My
You know.
only thing about crypto is it's not something tangible.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I know like I understand I haven't taken the full time to like dive into it. Like my brother-in-law is super
it's a
into it.
lot, man.
It's a lot of like if I was to dive into every investing thing, I wouldn't be able to run my own business, right? But I don't understand it enough, and this is why it's good to start with stocks and then move into other. I
Grandchild.
don't understand Bitcoin or I don't understand crypto at its heart enough to take $1,000 of my money and to put it into it. I fuck around with $100, which is what
Mm-hmm,
I've done. I've,
mm-hmm.
like I've lost a few over the last few weeks, but like $100, big fucking deal. But I'm not gonna take a couple thousand and put it into something I don't understand. And that's
Mm-hmm.
like the whole like we were just talking about for the last almost hour. Is that you have to understand what you're investing in. You can
Yes.
take a certain part and risk.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But if you don't understand it, I don't understand it. So there's no way I'm going to commit $1,000, 2,000, three plus to something I don't understand. Like you said, and for me, it's not tangible.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to spend it. Like I would invest a lot in gold. I've done a little bit in gold because at the end of the day, I know I can get. Here's my gold brick, bitch. Right? But
Yeah.
but with crypto, you lose the hard drive, you lose the account,
Oh yeah, and it's
you
as
lose the
simple as
money.
that, Like my friend literally had two crypto accounts. He got locked out of his phone, right, and
Yeah.
forgot the password. And to this day, he can't access the crypto accounts. Probably like $10,000 in.
Oh, yeah. See, and that's the problem, right? Whereas if you were investing in like investing in other tangible assets, you can just go to your institution and get the assets out,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Whereas crypto, you can't do that. Now you were saying, you're mentioning your business partner. That was the one thing I wanted to talk to you about.
yeah, dude.
Is
Yo, I got time, man. I'm in no rush.
yeah,
So you
uh,
just let me know where you are.
he's a young entrepreneur, business
Yeah,
owner as well.
yeah,
Um, now a lot of people your age are not even thinking about that, right? They're thinking about working 9 to 5. What shifted your mind, like from your knowledge of investing and knowing how economies work and all that? What got you into like just wanting to start and run and own your own business?
dude. I'm ambitious as fuck. Like, I don't want to do the status quo, man. Like I've always known, like from young, like I was not meant to, just find one job and work for 30 years and get my pension and all that kind of shit. Like I'm team fuck pension. Like fuck a pension. I'll create my own pension. I might even put it on the t-shirt. You know, like, seriously, like fuck a pension. I've been like everybody's like, get a good job, get a pension. It's like for what? You want me to work for 60 years for you to give me $400 a month and
Yeah,
me still have to? No, no thanks. I'll figure it out. Thank you.
yeah,
And like, the same thing, studying rich people, like rich people, sorry, wealthy people. I have to correct myself. Wealthy people, um, almost all of them are business owners to some capacity, whether it's through, you know, um,
yeah,
owning equity or physically just being a director or part of the business. And it's like once you start understanding like credit and taxes and stuff, then you really understand like the value of having your own business because it opens so many doors for you, right? Like
yeah,
one thing that I realize is like depending on your lifestyle, like and what you like whatever you want your lifestyle to be, if you're really smart enough, you could literally create businesses around the different areas of your lifestyle and have more than all of the things that you want to do written off just because they're now a business expense,
Yes.
right? Like think about it, like I'm a fighter, and like you're a fighter too as well, right? So if you're doing personal training and stuff, if you want to go buy gloves even for yourself, right, or a mouth guard or shoes and stuff like that, like
It's a business.
all this stuff is a business write-off, right? You're still using it personally,
Yes.
but you can still also use it for your business. But I'm saying, like, even if you just want it for yourself, technically you could write it off. You know what I'm saying? But, like, opposed to the money just coming directly out of your pocket, it's actually you're getting something back for it now because it's lowering your tax liability at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So the reason that I got into business, though, I will say, is because I'm a welder. I'm a welder by trade. I went to school for welding.
Yeah.
That the company that I have is technically a welding and contracting company. And the reason that I created the company was because this is actually when I was at UPS. I was working for UPS, and basically it's a little confusing, but the structure is there's me, there's my boss, who is he's essentially an employment agency, and then there's the company above him hired by UPS, right? So they're the general contractor.
Yeah.
But my boss is hiring me, and I never see my boss. I only see this guy, right?
Yeah.
So the people that are hiring my boss are the people that I'm reporting to on a daily basis, right? So I built a connection with one of the supervisors for that company. We were sitting there talking, and I'm like, I was making good money, don't get me wrong, but I was like, yo, if I'm making, say, $30 an hour, and I'm here every day, 55 hours a week, busting my ass, like, how much is my boss getting for just providing me? And I was like, interesting. I was like, he's probably getting what I'm getting hourly, right? So initially we're like, okay, he's probably making $30 an hour per person. And I'm like, damn. So I always had a problem with it because like I'm there sweating, it's hot, working 10, 12-hour shifts, sweating from my neck back to my ass crack, all that kind of shit. And it was like, it's so wrong to me that I have an imaginary work partner that is always standing next to me when I'm lifting up steel and burning myself, and is getting paid exactly as much as I'm getting paid and is doing nothing.
Exactly.
Right? Like, how do I get there? That's where I want to get. So I went to the supervisor of the company and was like, yo, like, so theoretically speaking, like if I started my own contracting company, like, could I be in the same position as this guy? Would I be able to get contracts with you, essentially? And he's like, hell yeah, we have a certain relationship now. I can help you out, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. So what's the process of starting a company? He said, I need a lawyer and all this kind of shit. But then I realized from doing my own research, you don't need no fucking lawyer to start a business, right? There's no business license, nothing. You go to an accountant, you pay your money. Next thing you know, there's a business. Bang, just like that.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I was like, I think I went to the project manager of that company above my boss and sat down with him, and I was like, oh, so theoretically speaking, again, if somebody here had a company, how would they get on the list of people that you call for work? Because essentially, these larger general contractors, for these big facilities, right? They have like say 5 or 6 different companies that they call to provide guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, i.e., my boss is one of them. So it's like, how does a company get on that list? And like, funny enough, they were literally like, we just put your name on the list. They don't ask you for a resume. They don't ask you for references. They don't ask
put your name on the list.
Put your name on the list, bro. Like, there's no like process to it at all. Like, you say you can get this done. Yes, I know you. Okay, you have a company. Boom, we'll put you on this list. When we need guys, we'll call you. And I was like, shit. Okay, cool. And then I was like, well, as you know, I was explaining how I didn't know what my boss was making. I was very curious. So I was like, so what's the average going rate for a contractor on this site? And he's like, oh, I'll just tell you what your boss is making. And I'm like, oh, fuck, great. Like, obviously, like, I'm controlling myself, like, but like in my head, I'm like, great, this is exactly what I'm here for. Perfect. Da, 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 da. Pulls up a document and he's like, currently, your boss is getting $50 per man. And he was explaining this to me. I was like, in terms of payment, how does it work? He's like, oh, basically, we give you a certain rate, right? And then it's your job to hire people. And what you pay those people is not our business.
Yeah, just like, whatever rate they give you is whatever rate they give you. You determine the split.
Exactly, right?
Business. Yeah.
So I find out that my boss is making $50 an hour per man, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know I'm getting $30, so that means he's making $20 a man. Probably we'll say, he could be paying other people different, but we'll just say for easy numbers, $20 a man, right? So next, I went on the list, the sign-in sheet, and was like, how many guys does he have working for him on this site? The man has 29 guys working for him.
So
At
he's making
29,
cake. He's making cake. Just sitting
bro, I know you're a math guy. You already did the math. Trust me, it didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, hold on. So $20 an hour at 29 mans is, I want to say, $580 an hour,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
At
somewhere around there.
55 hours a week before overtime, which is double time after 40 hours, he's making $31,000 off of what? Doing fucking nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
Right? Literally,
100%.
oh, hey, can you do this job? Oh, you need this job done? Yes, he'll be here on Monday. Okay, cool. And one thing that I learned about business as well is that these businesses, and a lot of business is promising something that you can't actually give yet. Like, he'll go out and get a contract 6 months out, right? For 30 guys for a job site. And the general contractor would be like, can you get 30 guys by December? And he'll be like, yes, I have 30 guys by December.
Yeah,
As soon as he leaves that meeting, he goes on Indeed and does job postings like, "Oh, I need this," right? He's
yeah.
literally promised something that he doesn't even
He
have
doesn't
yet,
have
right?
yet. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Literally, he'll just go and hire all these people and all,
It's
you know.
interesting that the how you explain that is very similar to how I viewed the fitness business and why I got the fuck out of
Mm,
working for someone in the fitness business,
right.
because I would be with a client. Oh, like I would like when I was working for a gym, I was a contractor, right? I was
Mhm.
technically a contractor because they don't want to hire you. If they hire you, they have to give you benefits. They have to do all that shit. They don't want to. If you're a contractor, they pay you money and you're in charge of your own tax and all that shit. And
Yep,
then
yep.
it's just
Perfect
easier.
capitalism.
It's less messy for the business owner. I get that and I respect that. But what I was after about a year and a half, what I started to realize was I'm like, I'm on my feet all day. I'm working with people. I have a university degree. I know everything about there is to do fitness. I'm continually improving myself. I'm a professional athlete. I am the skill. I am the attraction that people want to come and spend time with to improve their life and improve their fitness. Now, I'm looking at how much I'm getting paid, and I started to get a little curious. I'm like, how much? I started going into the books and looking at the how much the clients are paying for the session, right? And I started to realize that wait a minute, all this guy is providing is equipment.
Yep,
I'm the talent,
yep. And he's
and
making more
he's
than I am.
taking 70,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm making 30.
dude.
And
Listen,
then after a while, and then the pandemic, like before the pandemic, I was just like, no, 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 no. I have to flip that script. I have to maybe be the one. I don't give. I want to be making 100. I want to be making 90 because I'm a businessman now. I know that you're not making ever 100. There's always expenses that go along with everything. I want to make the 100. I'm the talent, and I'm the one being undercut. And there's a guy who's a fat shit who just literally has his name on the door and he's making 70% of the money. Fuck you. Right? I'm gonna flip that script, and that's what got me into business. It was almost the exact same thing experience that
yep,
you had. Whereas
yep.
I started to, and I think more people will get into business if they start to see that. And I think like let's take a Walmart employee for example. Like if you're working at Walmart, it obviously depends on your skill. But let's take a student, somebody who's maybe going to school and they work at Walmart part time. You're the person working all the time. Like if you figure out and look at what your wage is, which most people is minimum wage, and what Walmart actually brings in, you're just like, no, I can't. That's I mean, this might be a bad example, but uh, you realize, sure, like you're only making 3%,
Hmm.
and they're taking 97%, and you're the one sitting there
All
grinding
the day.
all day,
Yep,
moving
literally moving dirt.
boxes,
Yeah.
doing whatever the fuck it like. If you can find a way to take your talent, whatever it be, whatever industry it is, and flip that script where you are the one that is, like you say, sitting and just taking it all in. Now that I have my own business and I'm taking that percentage in, I realize how much waste I was doing in my 20s
By just working.
by
Yeah.
just working,
This
right?
is,
And it's not a bad thing. I'm not regretting
yeah,
any of
no,
my
I'm not
decision.
hating on
It's
nobody
a
that,
it's a learning experience. I had to learn to get to where I am today. But now that I'm there, now that I'm here, I realize like when you have a skill, like you say, you have a trade, you're a skill, you're a welder. I have a I'm in technically a trade too. I'm a trainer, a coach, an athlete. When you have a good skill, you have to learn to hone that skill and take the percentage. Start thinking about taking. You're gonna have to give a little bit,
Mhm.
right? But start taking what you deserve. And I think
Yeah,
that's the thing that a lot of people miss, right? They go to work for somebody and they let somebody else tell them what they deserve. Now I'm telling you what I deserve, and I'm going to take what I deserve, and I'm
yeah,
not going to fucking give you what you deserve. Because if you're sitting on your ass just signing a piece of paper or getting a contract, you know what? I'll take the extra time out of my day to go find that contract, and I'm going to make that money. You know what I mean?
exactly. Like triple what I'm making. You know?
Triple. Yeah, you're it. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is like trades, right? There's a big. My wife's in a trade. She's a hairstylist, hairdresser. I'm technically in a trade. You're in a trade. There's a big misconception of people in trades sort of being uneducated, unmotivated, and like lackeys, for a better term, right? You know what I mean? Uh, now that you're a businessman, you have your business, you're a young businessman. How do you kind of like get over? Because I'm sure you still engage in some of it where when you're talking to people to get contracts and clients and to get jobs, there's misconceptions of people in trades. How do you kind of get past that? That you're just some sort of worker to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of people think I'm like kind of weird, like to be in trades. Like my personality type, I'm like more so business oriented and very ambitious. And like I don't really like not to say I don't like working, but like I only became a welder because I had to. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I didn't want to. You know, it's just something that I had to do because my parents didn't see the fighting vision and how deep I was into it. So they're like, "Yo, you gotta go to school." So realistically, like I'm not really a tradesman. I'm like a fake tradesman, but I make it work. You know,
Yeah.
I adapt to my environment. You know, like
Yes.
it's fun, but it's not what I want. You know, like even my company, like I don't really care about it. Like it's done enough for me already, and teaching me about business that it's like if it fell through the floor tomorrow, it is what it is. It's an incorporation, so like worst thing they could do is take my car. You know, like
Yeah.
realistically, like, take all the money out, and spend it for lunch. Take my car. I'll just go
Yeah.
buy another one with the money that you guys gave me. But anyways, in terms of the idea of trades, like I feel like people think it's like I don't know, like rough and people are like gross and stuff like that. I don't really know to be honest. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. I just go to work, make my money, and go home. I don't really think about it. I just go, you know. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, like more people, should get into the trades because I will say, like, I've worked in the trades now for about a year and a half, 2 years, and like it's probably the most fun jobs I've ever had. Most like coolest connections I've made. Like you're on job sites, just I like to talk shit, literally just
Yeah.
like that's all you do on job sites, when you're not working, you're just sitting around talking shit and making jokes and stuff like that. So it's a good environment. You're doing something new every day for the most part, which is what I like. I don't like repetition and doing the same thing over and over again. So for the people that can't just sit in an office, I guess. Well, and people, we kind of like to make it seem like there's only two like types of working. It's either you're
Yeah.
sitting in a cubicle or you're out doing different shit on an everyday basis. But that's not really the case. But I guess respecting that idea, trades is definitely a good way for not only you to create a large amount of capital for yourself in a short period of time, but it's also a way for you to diversify the stuff that you're doing on a day-to-day basis as well.
Well, and the other view I have on it too, to build on what you said, is like what I think a lot of people in trades don't realize is they have a skill.
Yeah.
Whereas when you like I've worked in an office before, right? I've worked at a fitness. I'm not gonna say the company because they might get mad, but it's a piece of shit company. I worked in a fitness company in an office, and I was answering phones and taking people's money, etc., etc. When you're in that environment, everyone's skill is the same because it's a job, right?
Mhm.
Have a job and you do X, you pick up the phone,
Cookie cutter, cookie cutter.
okay, you answer the client. And so when you're in that environment, everybody is pretty much on the same fucking playing field, right? And I think that's what businesses, big business at least, tries to do in terms of their employees. Is if you can get everybody on the same playing field, right, then you get them competing with each other for promotions, more money, etc. But the job is the same. and they never really get to use a skill set,
Yep.
right? A skill set that they have been developing their whole life. How many times have you not heard stories about somebody who's worked an office job for 20, 30 years, and then all of a sudden you find out that they were some magical piano player, and she leaves the job and she's an amazing piano teacher now, and she's doing that
Exactly.
shit. There's a guy in my neighborhood. This is a great example. I found out about him last year. He's got this big afro, right? This white guy with this big afro, wears a headband. He's just walking fucking dogs all day, right? So if you don't know this guy, you think he's just some weird stoner pothead dog walker, because that's what he looks like. I
Hmm.
found out from one of my clients, because she knows him because he walks her dog. He was on Bay Street. He made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on Bay Street. And then one day he decided, I don't want to do that anymore because it's not what I want to do. I like walking dogs. Now he fucking walks dogs for everybody in the Young Eglinton area. And I guarantee you, with his knowledge of Bay Street, he's making a lot of money walking dogs, right? And but that's his skill set. You know what I mean? I couldn't walk dogs. If you said Ashton, walk my dog, I'm like, I don't fucking know how to walk your dog. I don't want to walk your dog. I mean, it's a difference when you get into that work environment, you get bunched in with people. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And individual skill sets, individual don't get to thrive. And I feel like when you go into the trades, sometimes you kind of get to see that. Like Elon Musk is a good example, right? He's an engineer by trade, by education, right? But the guy, like, as you know, people like to talk shit about him and whatever.
Elon's my guy. Shout out Elon.
Yeah, fuck yeah, same with Elon. Like, he is a super smart guy. If you put Elon in a work environment in an office, he wouldn't be what he is today. The only reason he is what he is today is because he was able to just freely
Open his wings.
open his wings and express himself and do all the crazy shit that he wanted to do. If you suppress that and by putting it into an institution and kind of just say, here's your job, the guy would have never been like if he went to work for a company, another car company. There's no way he would have been what he was today. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
A-
Absolutely.
And yeah, and then that's what makes him great. And I love the guy. Shout out! He's the only fucking guy that can change the stock market with a tweet.
Mhm. Hey, one thing that I will say to the people about business, especially the younger people that are thinking about getting into business, is like this will be the one incentive that you need. First of all, when you're an employee, say you make $20 at 40 hours a week, that's $800, right? If you're an employee, you see probably like 615, maybe $600 because taxes, CPP, all that kind of stuff comes out immediately. When you have your own business, if you make $20 at 40 hours a week, not only do you make for $800, like straight 800, nothing comes off,
Yeah,
but they still owe you tax, right? So opposed to making $800, you make like almost 900, right?
yeah,
And yes, you still have to pay taxes, but the money that you have to pay taxes the money that you have to pay taxes is in hand right now, and you pay it at the end of the year. So
yeah,
opposed to you never having that money in hand, now you're sitting on, by the end of the year, like 10 grand worth of tax money that you put aside if you're smart,
yeah,
um that you can leverage now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're smart about it, you have a year to use that, say 5 grand, whatever. You can take the 5 grand, put it into a couple different investments, make money with it, and then pay taxes, just kind of like serve. But what I was gonna say was you make so much more money, man. Like
yeah,
listen, I was making $38 an hour, right? I was working 5 days a week, whatever. Say I was making $38 an hour as a contractor, and my friend who I was working with was an employee making $38 an hour. You know what the difference was of what we saw on a weekly basis?
what?
Literally $1,000. I was
Yeah,
making $1,000 more. $1,000 more was coming into my pocket at the end of the week than his, just because when I have my own business, so I'm not. There's no deductions off of my pay. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, if you make $1,500 in a week, you're probably gonna get 11. I get 15 plus like 3, so I get like 18. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
But sometimes it'd be like 22 plus overtime and stuff. But this is what I'm saying. Like you just make so much more. I'm sitting there like, why would I go back to working a job like that, making so much more money? Yes, I
Exactly.
have to pay my own liabilities, and if I get injured, I have to pay for it, all that kind of stuff. But
you have the money. If you're smart, you have the money set aside.
Exactly, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and like I'll end the podcast on this note, and so like a lot of the times people will be like, well, you don't have a job that pays benefits, you don't have a job that pays all, you don't get dental, whatever, whatever, right? I'm
You
like,
can
well,
buy all that shit.
I make a lot more money now,
Yeah, you
right?
could literally buy. Listen, you can pay for full benefits. Okay,
Yeah, you can pay for
people
full
have,
benefits.
people have told me all my life you have to go work for some great company to get benefits. It's like, bro, but nobody's told you that if you start your own business and you're making money, it only costs like $300 a month to fully cover everything that you need:
Exactly.
dental, footwear, eyewear. $300 flat. If you're willing to pay that,
Yeah,
you
and
already
like
pay that in taxes.
And like for I'll give for example, like a lot of times I hold pads for clients and all that kind of stuff, and that wears and tears on your joints. So like I need therapy. I need to go
And
see.
massages, yeah, all
Yeah,
that shit.
I need to go get. Well, I don't need fucking coverage. I've increased my revenue by over 150%. Why
Mm,
the fuck would I need a benefit plan that I pay into? I'll just go pay the Sunny, and if you're smart, you go make connections with people. You help people out, and then those they throw a favor at you. So now all my services that I need, health, dental, all that kind of stuff, I have clients in those fields. So I'll go and I'll be like, hey man, I need my teeth cleaned. I need to go get this done. And they'll be like, yeah, yeah. They get, you make those connections, and I don't mind paying for it. Whereas
yeah,
like the old saying that you need to get a job to get the benefits, the pension, whatever. I'm perfectly okay with the fact that I know when I'm 80 years old, I don't have a pension right now.
yeah,
I don't give a fuck because I'm going to keep grinding my ass away. And it's not going to, like you said earlier on in the podcast, why would I work 60 years for somebody to get $400 a week when I could just grind it out now, make triple that amount of money? And if I'm smart, I just save it,
yeah,
right?
right.
Just put something to save for my retirement, and good to go.
That's it. Well, you don't get annuities and stuff like that, like life insurance too. You know.
I have a buddy who's I'm not gonna say him that name because I don't want to expose him, but he invested when he was young. Same with you, like in his 20s, and now he is in his 30s. He fell in love with boxing, so
Mm.
he's pursuing professional boxing, and he's really damn good. And I'm just like, dude, what do you do for work? And he was like, honestly, dude, I made some investments when I was 20. I live off the dividends, and I'm just training to be a professional boxer. And I'm just like, my boom, like I want that.
Yeah,
I want that. He's
yeah,
basically took his time, made investments, lives off the dividends, and now he's free to
yeah.
pursue whatever life's passions
Absolutely.
and goals that he wants to do. And I use him as a role model. Every time I see him, I use him as a role model to be like, not jealous. I just like as a example of what I'm aiming for, of that
Yeah,
freedom in life to just be able to do whatever you want to do. If it's professional boxing, whether it could be playing an instrument, doesn't fucking matter. Like
yeah.
being able to be financially free and do whatever it is that your heart desires and not have to worry about a dime in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah, and
that's
honestly, that's been my thing too. Like I always knew that because right now I'm in a position where it's like I made a bunch of money, and this is another thing that I will say for the people listening is the reason why I was able to get ahead in investing was because with this job where I was making $30 an hour, I went from making $20 an hour to making $31 an hour, like in a week, right?
yeah,
Nothing changed in my lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. I just started making drastically more money. So what I did was I pretended as if I was still making what I was making before,
yeah,
right? Because nothing changed. I'm still living the same life. Why do I need more money, right? Took that. I think it was $18 an hour I was making before, or 19, and then I went to 31, so 11, whatever. That $12 an hour. Um, every time I got that $12 an hour, I literally just created an Excel spreadsheet, right, and put
yeah,
in all the money and said, okay, this is what I used to make, so this is what I'm going to pretend I make, right, and everything else extra is going directly into my investing account, and a small portion is going into saving. So that will allow you to like drastically grow your money very quickly,
yeah,
especially if you can afford it. Not everybody's in a position where they can only live off 40% or 60% of their income. Obviously, I was fortunate to be in my parents' house and still, not really have any responsibilities. But
yeah.
that kind of opened a lot of doors for me. So if people are in a position to do that, I suggest that you do that. Don't just think that because you make more money, you should spend more money. Don't allow your expenses to chase after your income because just because you have $100,000 doesn't mean you have money. If you're spending $90,000 a year, what are
Yeah,
you left with?
you don't have any money.
Exactly. If I'm making 50K and I only spend 10, I'm richer than you. And I've never even seen 100,000.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And that's a great way to end this. It was good advice there, brother.
yeah,
So thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it. It's refreshing to see young people taking control of their lives. I'm not even old. I'm speaking like I'm an old fuck, but I'm not old. But it's refreshing to see young people because I work with a lot of young clients. I work with a lot of young people, and they don't take this part seriously because if you do when you're my age, when you're 32, you could be just pursuing whatever the fuck you want, and you won't be tied down. So it's good to see that you're doing that, and I'm proud of you, and I just want you to keep going at it, and you're gonna do really good things, man. I'm proud of you. So it's great having this chat with you. So thank you for listening to another episode of Grind My Gears. Remember, don't be a bitch and tell everyone's telling me how much they like my podcast, and no, keep doing, and they're not fucking subscribing. Click on the fucking link below, like it, share it, and thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it, and I'll see you back for the next one.
Yes.